I would like to call the August 19th, 2025 meeting of the Colerain Township Zoning Commission to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to those in attendance, township staff, and my fellow commissioners. Just a friendly reminder to everyone present tonight to silence your devices at this time. Ms. Klein, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mr. Bachman?
Here.
Mr. Hauser?
Here.
Mr. Westfall?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Ms. McMullen?
Here. Commissioners, presented before you tonight are the meeting minutes from our June 17th, 2025 meeting. Does anyone have any comments or required edits of these minutes? Okay, hearing none, can we have a motion for approval, please?
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second that motion.
Ms. Klein, a roll call, please.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes. Okay, next we would like to welcome the public to address the Zoning Commission. Is there anyone who wishes to speak tonight? Okay. Okay. You want to go first? The one next? And if you wouldn't mind your name?
My name is Jill Kiger, and I live at 433.
Mike?
Thank you.
My name is Jill Kiger, and I live at 4330 Rayanne Drive. And my property is adjacent to the Wawa construction that's going on. And I just want to say that the hill behind my house still doesn't seem like it's going according to plan. You know, they seeded that hill, and there's still bare spots in it. And I have a vested interest in how that hill looks, because when they put that hill in and it was all mud, that mud in the spring flowed into my pool. Now, I did not ask Wawa to reimburse me for anything, but to clean up that pool was, thousands of dollars. I mean, we had to we burned out a motor, we had to, it was hundreds and hundreds of dollars of chemicals, because once we were able to clear out the mud brought horrific algae. It was a mess. Anyway, I have a vested interest in that hill being secure and being seeded properly, and I just don't feel like Wawa has taken this site in the back of their property seriously. I mean, they're taking care of the front of their property. I'm guessing that looks nice. I don't know, I don't go up there. But the back of the property where they put all that dirt, they've abandoned it. There's, there's bald spots. I'm really nervous. I'm just nervous that I'm going to continue to have mud problems. I still continue to have mud coming into my property. It isn't a lot. I've contacted Hamilton County. They said, well, we don't see the mud. Well, they're only looking for massive mud, like the mud that filled up my pool. No, I'm not having massive mudslides at the moment, but I'm still having mud deposits. And I'm disappointed with Wawa, how they've abandoned that hill. And I'm disappointed with Hamilton County, in that, they just think, well, if a little sediment is coming in your yard, oh well. But it's important to me that that hill be stabilized. So I guess I just want to leave it at that. It also would be nice if Wawa would put, some pine trees, adjacent to my property lines, so that maybe it absorbs some of that mud or something, because the drainage is horrible back there. So water just lays and then it comes into my property. Anyway, I thank you for your time and your consideration on that matter. So thank you.
And real quick, can you give me your house number again,
Yes,
please?
it's 4330
Okay.
Rayanne.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. right.
Good evening.
Hello.
Steve Schnabel, you want me to swear in or anything?
No, just your name and address is fine.
Steve Schnebley, 4296 Ray Ann Drive. I don't know, since the last time, and this is not trustee, so I've done a lot of texting, a lot of emails in the last 8 months. Everybody's aware of that. I've sent a lot of photos. I also tried to figure out when they said you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, but expect a different result. That's what? Insanity? Here I am. You've probably seen the information hit WCPO, and I'm still complaining. I still firmly believe that when we all sat here in September of 2023, you approved the final development plan. Now, we're having a play on words, or people are saying different things, but for some reason, the plan that you approved had level ground behind me, and now everybody knows there's a gigantic berm behind me and there's an earth mound. Now, what's behind me, there's definitions, I guess, to a berm and an earth mound, which doesn't mean it's brand new for you. And I researched a little bit that Colerain was established in 1794. And in fact, the first post office was in 1825, 200 years ago. So please try to convince me that within the last 231 years, between Colerain Township and Hamilton County, there has to be a developer that dug up earth and tried to make a big hill out of it, and nobody tolerated that, because I don't drive around and see in Cincinnati a lot of berms and a lot of earthworks, so there's a problem. And then there's questions of, I'd be really interested in the results of the soil test, because the rumor is going around where the first engineers of the plan that you developed or you approved in September 2023 changed to either maybe new engineers, but it changed 11 months later. You didn't see those plans, because if you did, they're not on Colerain's site. They're not on Hamilton's site. Somebody did a bait and switch. You approved level ground. Now there's a ski slope out back that the rain doesn't come down and sit. It comes down like a ski jump. And that's supposed to be fixed. And then I get information that Earth Mound or whatever is going to think about giving a temporary occupancy permit that would give Wawa, after they get to open temporarily, that they get another 2 to 3 months to fix the problem that shouldn't be there. All right, I'm just confused. I need your help. We're all Colerain residents. I need your help. Wawa, to me, is the big, I can do whatever I want. I can tell you folks what to do. Somebody had to approve it, because it's Mr. Alberto of Soil and Water, Jim Gleason's boss, that I accidentally got a copy of an email from him to Emily Crace, Wawa, that says, where is the documentation from zoning for what you have done? I don't know what the result is to that, because I didn't get a copy of that, but I have that in hard copy. So somebody from Hamilton County was looking for the documentation from you all. So there's either documentation or there's not. And if there's documentation, why didn't we have a meeting? Right? I'm confused. Do you understand why I'm confused? And I think there should be some answers. So, oh my God, with the continuation of Mr. Unger, boy, have I had different stories. I'm a firm believer you never call anybody a liar, because I've seen those movies, but I've heard different stories that aren't the same over and over and over again. So here we have in print on the phone, I don't think Wawa was looking for a loophole at all. Wawa went to the people who have jurisdiction over soil and water and got the permit from Soil and Water. But we've said in previous meetings that Soil and Water approved the mound. Question is who said build the mound? I've been told by Colerain Township that Soil and Water said make the mound. Soil and Water said, nah, we didn't tell them to make the mound. So the other question is the soil okay? Because we all know Clyde mowers were there for the last 70 years with sales and repair of all the lawnmowers. So is the soil contaminated? If the soil is contaminated, then they dug all that up, they made a berm and an earthwork. It's having a hard time. I got pictures of today that hill is brown. The grass is not growing. And when it rains, ski slope, because it's even with a quick downpour, it's not going to soak it in quick enough. So it's always going to run. But right now, if that soil is contaminated, it's running off their property, onto our land, then across the street to the pond where your retired fire chief, Bruce Smith, was raised, okay? Now that pond across the street, when it overflows, it goes to a creek system that goes to Snow's Lake that has a restaurant and outdoor people. So I'm confused. And Soil and Water says, well, we're constant monitoring. Wawa says, there's constant monitoring. Okay, that gigantic earthwork on the north side, it's right up against the fence line of their property, and all the soil is going off to the north, off their property. You've heard the stories about what it's doing to the south, we're us, and they're supposed to put the drain tile, and it's supposed to absorb the water and make it run north. The west side that's being monitored has been sliding for the last 4 months, and on the fence line, there's part that have slid down to 40 feet that is 5 to 8 feet tall on the fence line, ready to go off the property. But it's being monitored all the time by Soil and Water and Wawa. And it's gonna be fixed. And we haven't talked about it, but we're gonna give them a temporary operating permit. And after that, things settle, and we're gonna give them another 2 to 3 months to fix it. Otherwise, we're not gonna give them the permanent operating permit. Probably what I need your help is us all in Colerain Township. I've heard the word because, geez, to do a zoning review, I understand it's a $150 filing fee and a $2,000 above that. Attorneys, $350 to $450 to $500 an hour. I just wish somebody would contact us or me at Rayanne that I really believe between us as residents, us as Hamilton County, and we're bigger than Wawa. So there has to be somebody out there that believes us that they should have went through you for a meeting to build that hill. And I've got to believe there is either attorney firms or an attorney or somebody that knows an attorney that would take this on consignment, because there's got to be a lot of money. Either Wawa making the mistake, Colerain making the mistake, or God, I wish you'd help. I really do. I really do. And I have turned everything over I have about a month ago because I can't take this anymore. I really can't. I'm 73 years old. You can see the stress in me. You know, and I've turned this over to Carrie Davis. And we know what kind of reputation that Carrie Davis has with Colerain Township. So I don't know if that's good or bad. From my point of view, is this good? And then I found out later after I gave her all the paperwork that, you know, she wants to run for trustees. God bless her, you know. But if you could help me, or somebody could help me to fix this, I would love it. And if you have any questions while I'm still here, because I thought before we were able to communicate, but I mean, the paperwork, the complaints, we've been over and over and over this. Where are we at? Just going to talk about it some more, or just Wawa's from last meeting is? We're not doing anything about that. Nothing. We're in control. You're not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rayanne.
I'm
I'd like
sorry,
to start off,
can you repeat that? You weren't at the microphone yet.
Mandy Blackburn, 4136 Rayanne Drive. I'd like to start off by saying I never thought I would have to police rules and regulations and promise statements from a company that says they want to be good neighbors. Nothing has been done to solve our problems. Everyone is well aware of our issues. We've been very boisterous about them. Wawa has not come to us in good faith to talk or solve any issues, and our township officials have straight out lied to our faces and being recorded while doing so. A grown-up could drown in my yard. That's how much water we get. To say we told you so is understated. All the water issues we warned you about are now my reality, but worse. We had a waterfall coming in our basement ceiling. We had sump pumps on the outside of our house in the yard trying to pump the water away from our foundation. Our sump pump is moving 6,000 gallons of water in a 24-hour period on some days. Let me repeat that so you don't assume that I have my numbers wrong like Mr. Waller did. 6,000 gallons of water at a 24-hour period. That's a lot of water. We never had numbers like that high until Wawa moved in. And to think that the soil could be contaminated and just running right into my house. Not to mention the trees we were promised would stay, lied, they're all gone. The shrubs that I get to cover the ugly fence, lied, I'm not getting any shrubs. And the 20 foot off the property line, pretty sure that's not happening. What is the purpose of zoning if they just do what they want? Who holds them accountable for their actions? Who monitors to make sure they are doing what they agreed to and what they promised residents? Why is there no one from the township to help residents navigate all of these issues? Why are our officials not contacting us and asking what can we do to help you? But yet Wawa, who has the money and the lawyers, has David Miller holding their hand and walking them through every little step. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that when mistakes are made repeatedly, they are no longer mistakes. They are done with intention. Something needs to change in our township. So I just want to state, I know how much water I'm pumping out of my sump pumps because we have a thing called a smart pump. So every day we can log on to an app on our phone and it tells us exactly how much water we're pumping off. And I just want to kind of explain to you, when I say we had a waterfall, we had to have our fireplace, the inside of our fireplace redone because of Rumpke's blasting. It had all cracked. So we had it redone, and they had to run a pipe for ventilation through our floor, across our basement, and out the side of our house. The water got so high on the side of our house, it was coming in that pipe, and when I say a waterfall, from that table to that table, water just pouring in, and all I hear is my husband screaming, hurry up, move the computer, move the TV, we gotta get buckets, we gotta do this. Twice it's happened now, to the point that we had to have them come in, remove the pipe, reseal the side of the house. These are expenses that we shouldn't have to be dealing with. So I just want you to know these are what we're dealing with that we didn't have to deal with before Wawa moved in. And I have contacted Wawa, and they said, no, sorry, we're not giving you any shrubs. We're not doing it. to this big, huge company that wants to be our neighbor. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Sherry Schneider. I'm at 4381 Rayanne Drive. Can I approach you to give you these
Yes.
documents?
And just so you know, they do become part of the record, so we won't be able to hand them back to you. Okay,
I don't want that.
okay.
It's just a reminder for you guys. Just to give you a visual of what was promised to us and what was shown at Clyde Motor.
Ma'am,
on the
I'm
AI
sorry to
drawings.
interrupt. Can you repeat your address for our record?
4381 Rayanne.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure. They came in with so many promises. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to address you again. I've had the opportunity to address the zoning board one other time before tonight. We came to you begging not to move forward with the Wawa project. At that time, you declined to move forward and left it in the hands of the trustees. While appealing to the trustees using logic, facts, and data we collected, we were ignored and dismissed with such ambivalence it was heartbreaking. We were promised a 20-foot offset from the fence line that would leave existing vegetation and abide by the Colerain zoning law regulations. We were told any items added or changed would need to be brought before the zoning board for further approvals. None of this has happened. We're now left with a 40-foot plus tall pile of what was previously our mature trees that lined the border of our homes, and they now call it an earth mound. So lovely. In addition to the beloved trees included in the mound is what we've been told is contaminated soil. This soil that now flows through our yards into our pools and ponds. Contaminated soil that flows down and across our streets, running into our natural waterways, potentially impacting water quality. With the facts that are coming to light with the current WCPO investigation, all I can ask is, what will you do to help remedy this situation? And what can you do to stop the destruction of our homes and our land, which the trustees have allowed to happen? The responsibility of the zoning board is to ensure land use and development within your jurisdiction comply with established zoning ordinances. Please do your job. Please do not rescind your powers to the trustees. As everyone here from Rayanne can attest to, they have lied to our faces during countless trustee meetings regarding the Wawa situation. This has to stop, and someone has to represent the residents of the township that truly has our best interest at heart, because it is not the trustees.
Thank you.
Hey, y'all. Things like this happen
Can
when
you-
the state. Pardon me?
Your
Oh,
name
I'm
and address,
sorry.
please.
Carrie Davis, 8364 Royal Heights Drive, and I'm the Director of Greater Community Groups. Okay, so I'm going to share with you a few things. Well, I do have one question first. I thought this was advertised to be a public hearing. Is my memory wrong? Was there to be a public hearing or not today? Because that's what I thought they blasted.
Right. The public hearing will be next month. We haven't initiated a text amendment yet.
Okay, so we should talk about that, those issues at that next meeting, not today.
You can do both.
Okay, well, so let me get out of the way. The text amendment relevant to taking more rights away from residents without the right to appeal through administrative waivers and stuff. I think we have seen a pattern of conduct over the last year since we nixed the County Regional Planning Commission. We have seen so many mistakes by our zoning board, or not our zoning board. You guys and the commission and the boards do fabulous. You guys are unbelievable. But our zoning department has made numerous mistakes, costly mistakes, damaging mistakes to our residents. And so when that does come up, if I'm not here to yell and scream and stomp my feet, I please ask you to please not give them more discretion. If anything, we need to tighten the reins. So I think, let's talk about solutions. I believe you all want to help. I remember your vote was not for this. You knew this was going to be problems. You believed the residents, and everything they said came true down to the letter. And so I believe you guys would like the opportunity to solve this. And the way you can do that is by requesting that your zoning administrator send a letter to Wawa requiring them to properly fulfill their legal obligation to submit changes to the final development plan. That is where this went awry, is when they are required to file an application to put in that mountain of mud and to change the direction of the water and so forth. And they failed to do that. Under the statute, it says it doesn't matter if Colerain Township screwed up in regards to advising them on it. It says the developer bears all responsibility to ensure that all processes are completed legally. So I think your solution today is to ask your zoning administrator to direct Wawa within a certain number of days, maybe 7 or 10, to submit the changes they wanted to that final development plan. And then you all will make the decision on whether that's minor or major. I think it's major. The impact is major. And you will have the power to order at that hearing any remedies that you see appropriate and within the legal framework. Now, I am aware, and also Mr. Schneble mentioned, the only reason we have not filed a complaint ourselves is because it, according to the zoning department, it costs $2,000 to file for it's called a review of a planned development, which is done intermediate before it is finished and before they seek occupancy. It's done in the middle of the development to see if it's consistent with the development plan they submitted to you. And it would cost him $2,000. You all are allowed to request that review for free. We can't. We have to pay $2,000. So today, or yesterday, the Soil and Water District added a email saying that the township's email where it said that the county ordered them to install that mountain is false. It never happened. It did not happen. And I believe her. I went into the office the other day to get records. The only final development plan they have is the one you guys reluctantly had to work on. You guys worked on it. You didn't approve it, but you worked on it and gave the recommendations. That's what exists. The development plan that everybody else is using is different. And that's because he said it wasn't his jurisdiction. I want to share with you that he keeps saying it is not his jurisdiction. He said the same thing to Joseph. When they reviewed that and did a legal analysis, they found, in fact, Joseph's plans did not follow the same process, the same thing Mr. Miller told Wawa they could do. It didn't follow process. And so what they did was they backed the ship up and they made him have another hearing. Now their conclusion in that case was to allow them to go forward when the statute says any construction done without a permit shall be removed. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it and see what you guys want. I am seeing that you are seeking a legal opinion. I cannot believe, since these residents have been speaking of this for, since April, that a legal opinion has not been issued. However, it took me 10 minutes when I did a Google through my legal research database to find legal opinions. And not only does Colerain Township, they have the authority to implement any conditions they want relative to stormwater. I believe it's Ohio Attorney General Opinion 94-408 says the Township Zoning Department does have the authority to regulate the design and aesthetics of a site in order to deter stormwaters from impeding on neighboring properties. So that legal opinion exists. I don't know why nobody has gotten to it yet. Let's see, what else do we have? Mr. Miller also claims they have no jurisdiction over this, despite the fact that it says right in your zoning code that you are in charge of the open public space or common space, I forget the terminology. You are in charge of the landscaping and the buffers and the setbacks. The setbacks went from 20 foot, and that's what I remember, is the 20 foot to 0. They literally excavated all the way up to their fence line. I have a feeling that if they did decide to sue, it would be an illegal taking of land because that was dedicated to them as a buffer, and now it's gone. So we have all these conditions, and the only way for us to solve it is to bring it back before you guys, to let you all make your determination if the development is proceeding consistent with the final development plan of record, and if it is not, then you have the power to do what you need to do. And that's what I'm asking you for today, is to exercise your powers, direct Wawa to submit their plan immediately, consistent with the laws and our rules in Colerain Township, and have your plan come back before you. We trust your judgment.
Anyone else?
Sorry, I'm late, so I did not put my name down on anything, but I'm Ben Miller. I live at 4228 Rayanne Drive. The Wawa sits direct. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do I need to repeat? Yeah. My name's Ben Miller. I live at 4228 Rayanne Drive. The Wawa is directly behind my house. First, I do want to thank you guys because you guys did actually hear us in the initial meetings, and you guys did refuse this to move forward, and unfortunately the trustees did not take that advice, and I'm not putting that blame on you guys. You guys overwhelmingly supported us, so I do appreciate that, and I hope you'll continue that support in resolving the issues raised tonight and in previous meetings. I do support and stand in solidarity with my neighbors and the comments that they've made. But I would like to raise one additional concern that, in fairness, has yet to be proven. We were promised on the record in the initial meeting that Wawa showed up to that there would be 0 candlelight onto our properties. And I'm not an engineer, but I can tell you based on the current structures, the roof angles, the quantity of lighting on the property in addition to the brand signage that's on the back of the building that will shine directly into my kitchen, that I am worried that this is not going to be the case when they finally turn all these lights on, which they have yet to do. So I would ask that at some point, I don't know whose responsibility that will be, but I do hope that somebody will turn all those lights on at night and make sure that they are holding to that promise. Because I do enjoy our neighborhood, I enjoy our backyard. I'm actually having my porch redone right now so I can continue to enjoy it. And so I'm hoping that we're not going to get all that light that I unfortunately suspect we're going to get. So I would like that to be looked at closely prior to them opening, particularly given their 24/7, 365 business. That's all I have to say. I do appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none. Thank you, everyone. So next on our agenda is final development plan, and we have none this evening. We have no public hearings, no informal concept reviews, no old business.
I do have one old business. Ms. Klein has been working to get a meeting about the chickens, the agricultural and animal use case that we had last month. So the meeting will be on August 28th at 6:30 p.m. here in the chambers. We would love for all of our community to come, and if you would like to share your thoughts or opinions on chickens or just learn a little bit more about chickens, we will have a report to give you at next month's meeting.
All ag regulations, not just specifically chickens.
All ag regulations, yes.
Thank you. And thank you for getting that scheduled. Any new business?
I have none.
Okay. So that brings us to the administrative part of our agenda. So actually, I'm going to turn it over to you, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Ms. McMullen. Our first matter on our administrative matters will be presented by Mr. David Miller, Development Director.
So it's our topic of the evening, it appears. So before you is a request from one of our trustees through our administrator and then to you. So as we have contended throughout this process and the Wawa development, you examined a preliminary development plan and a final development plan was approved. Very similar to other development projects, the developer then goes to the county and they come back later when the project's done for an inspection. We would visit the site. Here's what you said you were going to do. Did you do it? So in this interim period, there has been issues throughout the construction, and one of those clearly is the earthen mound. We still believe that the zoning resolution was followed on our part. And so even though we have stated such early on, we've had some discussions with Hamilton County, but we believe at this point it would be prudent for us to ask our law director, and that is before you, to examine whether a township and therefore our zoning department would have authority to regulate the movement of dirt and earthen mounds and how that would apply to landscaping plans that were part of the PDP, right? And so we believe that that would help guide not only the administration and where we would go next and what we might ask of the developer, but what we might bring back to you as well. Maybe there is opportunity, as has been suggested, that there needs to be an amendment to the FDP. We don't know. We're going to ask our law director to kind of lay out a path for us, and we'll bring that back next month. And so the motion before you and recommendation would be if the zoning commission so chooses to direct the staff to ask this opinion of our law director.
But before we go there, just a couple things. Obviously, we heard testimony tonight from 6 to 7 folks who live on Rayanne regarding everything from lighting to drainage to a hill that wasn't part of the final development plan to administrative issues with regard to secondary reviews. Could you give the commission as well as the folks in the audience kind of here's where the project is. So is there work yet to be done? Is there inspections yet to be done? And who does those? To answer some of the questions with regard to 0-foot candles of light, the questions of swales that may not be put in or silted in or whatever the case may be. Can you talk us through that process?
clearly, it is still a construction project that's in process. They are not anywhere near opening. I think, last I heard, it's still a couple months away. So it is in progress. They are, from when we communicate with them, they're responsive. We've had residents on Rayanne that have made direct contact. They have responded to them. Some have been less than acceptable to the inquiry. I get that. Some have said, okay, it's fine. But as Ben Miller said, the lights aren't even in yet. So we don't know where it is. He's just concerned. We would be concerned as well. And so as we continue our conversation with them, fielding questions and concerns and complaints, we forward those back to them at all times. And we say, hey, we got a problem. Can you address it? So as far as the swales and how the water's draining off, the grass that's growing on the hill, that is all part of A, the developer, and B, Hamilton County Soil and Water is the one monitoring all of that. And so we contend, once again, that is not within our purview. It is not part of the zoning resolution. And that's where it's been transferred to that next jurisdiction, that being Hamilton County. And so we don't ever get involved in those in any project. But we do go back at the end of the project when they say, okay, we're basically wrapped up with this project, and we visit the site with the FDP and we walk it with them and say, did you do X, Y, and Z? Here are the conditions that you were asked to comply with by the Zoning Commission or by the Board of Trustees, and if they didn't do that, if it's not satisfactory, then we have a discussion and figure out how we're going to remedy that issue. So it is the contention that we would do the exact same thing with Wawa that we did with any other development project.
So let me ask a different way. So the process for them to open is, what I've heard today through testimony, was a temporary C of O, temporary certificate of occupancy.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah, I don't know that. The county hasn't told me. If they've told them that,
We're gonna get there. Just let me have the floor.
Okay.
We're gonna get there.
Go ahead.
So temporary C of O is what's been discussed. But as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, about Hamilton County law, that before they can open, they either need a temporary C of O or a final C of O. Typically, it's temporary to work through things.
Right.
But as it, whatever the case, they need a certificate of occupancy to open their doors.
Correct.
And talk us through what happens in that C of O process. Inspections or reviews, so on and so forth.
I am not part of the county inspections, nor is anybody from the township.
Okay.
So I can't explain to you because it's their responsibility, not mine. But I would be responsible as a township to then take a zoning review. Did you comply with the final development plan and the conditions that are listed in it that were approved by the trustees and the zoning commission? And I would measure those and compare, did you do this or not? So that would be my review of that.
Would it be safe to say that your view is part of the C of O process? Or is it separate and therefore
No.
not, what's the word I'm looking for? I think they don't need to do it, or they?
I think they will have to have a certificate of occupancy from Hamilton County Building Department, and they would need to have zoning approval as a final inspection. Now, if they weren't compliant with my, in my estimation, with what we required of them, we would take the position of calling the county and saying, there has been a failure on our inspection, and we would request that a CO, final CO, not be issued until these items are remedied.
That's where I'm going with this.
Yep.
So you are, is just so the board and for the folks watching, that process of the township review is pretty stringent in terms of needed for the C of O before they can open.
Correct. Now, again, Hamilton County Building Department may have their own checklist, and I'm gonna have mine, and I'm gonna look through the FDP, but I would have an opinion to give to them if needed, okay? But I'm not out there with them. They don't invite us to do an inspection.
Can I clarify one thing?
Sure, go ahead.
We don't go out and send an approval that they're waiting on to give the certificate of occupancy. If we call them and say that there's a zoning issue or a condition not met, they're able to stop that process. So it's not like we're part of the chain. We're just able to jump in if something that was an initial condition or that was purview of zoning was violated.
Okay, but isn't that, if you're doing that, is that belts and suspenders to what's happening? In other words, another review that's occurring by the Hamilton County Engineer's Office or Soil and Water or Stormwater, whoever?
No, once we've issued a zoning certificate, we're out of it unless we contact the county and say, hey, they're not following our zoning.
Okay.
And then they would be in zoning violation, and violations and remedies are actually a chapter of our zoning resolution. One tool in that toolkit could be dealing with the county and the certificate of occupancy if it hasn't yet been granted, but usually it's things like fines and working with them. What we ultimately want is compliance with what they agreed to.
So let me ask it a different way. Can you issue a zoning certificate? That's your responsibility, as I'm hearing from the township. Can you do that? Do you do that as part of the C of O process, or is it standalone and it's separate?
We have nothing to do with the C of O process.
So it stands alone and separate.
We've already issued a zoning certificate to Wawa back in 2023 when their final development plan was approved.
Okay, so that was the approval for, here it is on paper. We agree with what's on paper, go build.
Yes, the only thing we do is go inspect once it's built, because it is still a construction site.
That's where we need to get to.
Once it's built, we go inspect and make sure they're not violating any conditions, and that anything that's within the zoning purview of the zoning resolution at the time and of the agreements we made is not violated. Because our zoning resolution we have right now was not in effect when this was approved. So if we're pointing to berms or any kind of text we have right now, that's new text that is different than it was in 2023. That was adopted in November of 2024. So we would analyze the initial conditions. We'd make sure they're not violating any of those conditions. And if they are, we would work through violations and penalties section of the zoning resolution and potentially with Hamilton County to try to stop any kind of occupancy, but mainly violations and penalties.
That is the remedy that the township has.
Yeah, with any FDP approval or with any other zoning violation, we would follow that section of the resolution.
So we're all clear. You all as a township have no approval or the ability to say no on that certificate of occupancy.
Correct.
That is a county building issue.
Correct. They don't even ask us or show it to us.
We do believe that there would be a respect for our opinion if we said we have some serious conflicts with the conditions that were granted during the FDB process. We think that our opinion would be valued by them. It's going to still be their decision whether they want to issue a CO or not.
So 2 questions for you. First, for Mr. Ben Miller's question about the lighting, that's on our plan.
Yeah.
Do we have a device to ensure that it is a 0?
Yeah, we absolutely do. Mr. Miller, I appreciate you coming and speaking. We definitely take the lighting seriously. I've read that Wawa does too in the plans, so we're going to hold them to that. We will go measure the lighting as part of our final zoning inspection and ensure that it's not violating your property. And we do have a utensil device.
Okay.
We do have a device to do that. We have a device for lighting and a device for sound.
And then that's the same for the sound. At midnight, they're supposed to turn the sound at the pumps off.
I can't say for sure, but whatever they agreed to, we will definitely make sure that they follow as it relates to lighting and sound, and we do have devices for both to make sure.
And then just a question of order, I guess. I understand the separation, like it's very clear. Could it not be something proactive to say, hey, when you guys are scheduled to go out to that property, can we do our inspection at the same time? So that way they have their list, we have our list, and that certificate doesn't get issued because all of our checks aren't done.
Great recommendation, thank you, and we will do that.
So getting back to the request of the law director, is that, the research that we're asking for, is that a general review of earth mounds and the movement of dirt on site? And/or is that to deal with the issue of Wawa and that issue of the earth and mound that's out there?
I would like to say yes, and to both, and say, if this is just a recommended motion, so you are certainly free to amend that motion to include Wawa specific and examination of their FDP, if you want to do that. And we would be happy to take that back to them and begin that process.
You would take it back to the law director?
Yes.
And the trustees, do they have to approve that, or is that they've given that approval
They
to us?
don't need to approve your motion.
Okay. Okay.
And the issue of not filing for a change, a modification, is pretty relevant.
No, Carrie.
Ms. McMullen, I'm just going to ask that audience that I'm going to remind them that we had our public address portion and ask that we're just not having any more interruptions. And if anyone's going to interrupt their meeting, we ask that they go in the rotunda.
Thank you. All right. So gentlemen, any other questions or feedback on A?
So one thing I'm just confused about is if we're going to evaluate the construction site at the end against the final development plan, and the final development plan did not include the large earthen mound, how will it be in compliance with the final development plan? Isn't it already out of compliance with the final development plan?
There are some people who have that opinion.
Okay.
And-
But we
and-
can't
and so-
conclude that until,
Then the question is, okay, how do you remedy this?
right?
It may be that it has to come back to the zoning commission, or the board of trustees, or the board of trustees, and that come up with an amendment of some sort, whether it's remove it or amend the FDP. So that's still yet to be decided, but clearly that it's not on your FDP that you have reviewed.
Would it be wise to ask the law director for options to that very issue?
Sure. You want to, you put that into text, we will take it to him.
I'm not sure how to put it in text, but it sounded good in my brain.
You did, yeah. You sound really smart.
Yeah, but getting it from here to here is.
That's right.
Anything else?
One of the questions I have, and they were talking about the buffer zone. And I remember back when we when we listened to this final development plan, the existing trees that were there I believe I asked a question about them being removed. And of course, it's their property. They pretty much can take it out. The final development plan only asks that it has, and I think we put a stipulation in there, a certain amount of distance. I don't know what that exact wordage was.
Of buffer
Of buffer
on their side of the property.
on their side of the property. Now, in this that she gave us earlier, it has in there the fence. I know we talked about a wall, the other one, we talked about a fence. The final development was a fence, I believe.
Correct. 12-foot fence.
Okay. So when this project is done, that buffer zone has to have so many plants that were in that final development plan. Okay, so, that's another thing that we'll have to look at when the construction is finished. That plants are all planted and there's even tall trees and there was all kinds of stipulations that we had put on that on that site. So those are things that, and I don't know that, is the lawyer gonna be able to do this before the site is completed?
Oh, yeah. If they're still 2 months out from
From completion?
completion, then we expect them to get on this week, once we give them a directive.
And then you stated that you will come back to us next month with,
That is my expectation, that we would have a report for you next month on this item, and any others that you would request.
so any other comments? All right, so I think this is going to be a team effort for writing this motion. You ready to type? All right. So we would like to make a motion to instruct the law director to research the extent of zoning authority regarding the regulation of earth mounds and the movement of dirt on site, comma, we would like a detailed inspection of their final development plan and any deviations from it. We would like to know what our options are. I was waiting for you. And is it fair, this is a question for you, anyone sitting at the tables. Are we able to direct the law director to find out who signed the permit allowing? Or is that going to come back in the inspection of the FDP and any deviations from it?
Well, we know that Hamilton County signed the earthworks permit. So they're the ones that granted the earthworks permit to Wawa.
Have you seen it?
David, do you have a copy of that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been in multiple
Okay.
So we are.
board agendas.
Can I ask for clarification?
Yes,
When
please.
you say a detailed inspection of final development plan, any deviations from it, you mean our final zoning inspection once the site is complete, right?
Meaning it's an active site. We understand it's an active site. Do they not have their drainage in place? Do they?
I don't know how I'm supposed to know that without going on the site, and I don't know if I would even be able to tell. And I don't know if it's really fair when they're in the middle of construction to kind of grade them.
Okay.
If you'd like for that middle part, we can definitely provide you with a final inspection that we do once they say that they're ready for us to come see that they're done. I think that would be more fair to Wawa and us.
Here's maybe another way of doing that.
Okay, thank you.
I have three concepts here that I want to try to get in. So the first is just a general review of the earth and mounds, and that's pretty much what you've got written on the sheet of paper before us. You have instruct the law director to research,
Mike,
instruct the law director to research the extent of zoning authority regarding the regulation of earth mounds and movement of dirt on site. Now, that can be general across the township.
correct.
Okay, that's one issue. The second issue is now let's make that issue that we just talked about, I just read, specific to Wawa's project.
Okay.
Okay? So that's the second item. And the third item, I think, is, again, maybe it needs to be wordsmith, but then we would be looking for the law director to give us options to items that vary from the approved final development plan of September 2023.
That would need to be through a final inspection that's done.
Well, but we already know the mound's there. We don't need to have an inspector go out there. We can drive by and we can see it.
So you want options on what you can do about the mound?
Yeah.
Okay. So that could be part of the motion. So the first part, which you read, the second part, which is what to do specifically about Wawa, and the third part is options we have on potentially what can the township do about the mound.
Yeah, and the Wawa specific is the mound.
Right.
And then, okay, it's there, don't know the process of how it got there in terms of approvals, but then what I think would be helpful for all of us are, what are the options that are available to the township? Is that litigation? Is that a modification that comes before this group that then goes to the public? Is that just hold the C of O and hold their feet to the fire, that, hey, a mistake was made on the issuance of this permit? I don't know what those options
Okay.
are.
David, is that a reasonable request to the law director?
Yep, sounds clear.
Absolutely.
And I think it's graded in the sense that general to more specific, and I think that's what's, I think, effective in
Yes.
getting answers that we're looking for.
Okay, here's the motion I have, and we can correct it
Yes,
if
please.
needed. So the motion would be to instruct the law director to research the extent of zoning authority regarding the regulation of earth mounds and movement of dirt on site, and to get a legal opinion on what the options are to remedy any deviations from a final development plan.
But now let's get specific on Wawa.
Specific to
Okay,
Wawa.
specific to Wawa.
Would you like us to read it again?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, do we just want to just add specific to Wawa at the end, or do we
Why don't you
have?
just read it and we'll
Okay.
Yeah.
let you know.
So the motion is to instruct the law director to research the extent of zoning authority regarding the regulation of earth mounds and movement of dirt on site, and to get a legal opinion on what the options are to remedy any deviations from the final development plan specific to the Wawa site.
Deviations with regard to the map.
So just the mound, not like any other deviations.
Mound is the big issue because we know that. To David's, excuse me, I have the floor, excuse me.
Your mic. David.
To David's point, the project's not done, it's not gone through inspections, but we do know the mound's out there. And from the testimony we heard, that Wawa's not gonna remove the mound. So it's an issue that we need some direction on.
Could we also ask about the buffer? If there was a promised buffer and there's,
Absolutely.
that's also very easy to assess right now.
Absolutely.
Carrie, last time.
To that point, that's an option that the law director can bring back to us, wherever, Carrie, there you are. That law director can bring back to us. If one of the options is that can come back or should come back as an option of the entire review of everything that's been modified, that's an option that we would look at.
Okay, well, we'll try round 3. Okay, motion to instruct the law director to research the extent of the zoning authority regarding the regulation of earth mounds and movement of dirt on the site, and to get a legal opinion on what the options are to remedy any deviation to the earthwork plans regarding the mound and the buffer at the Wawa site.
Can we do earth mound, drainage, and buffer? And then I think we're all satisfied.
Earth mound, drainage, okay.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
how is staff to know what the drainage situation is at Wawa without any geotechnical engineering experience? Again, I'm going to reiterate that if the audience is going to interrupt our meeting, they're going to need to leave.
I don't know that, here's my thoughts. My thoughts are, I don't think it's the law director's responsibility to figure out drainage. That's not what he's trained to do, he or she's trained to do. They are trained, though, to figure out if there is significant deviation to the drainage in 2 months when you all or the C of O inspection's done by the county, then what are the options that come back to either the staff or this board or the trustees?
So like a hypothetical, if a drainage issue arises that's separate from the mound, what are options to move forward from that?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that fair? Because I agree, obviously there's testimony that there's an issue, without a doubt. Don't know if that'll get remedied with regard to the final grading, the final
Right.
design,
Yeah.
I don't.
Right. we don't want to come back in December and then instruct the law director to now look at drainage issues and come up with answers. So just a little bit of proactivity.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Would you mind? Yes, please. And everyone pay attention because this is going to be moved as our motion.
Okay. The motion is made by Ms. McMullen or Mr. Bachman. Mr. Bachman, do you want the motion or Ms. McMullen, do you want it? Okay. So motion to instruct the law director to research the extent of zoning authority regarding the regulation of earth mounds and movement of dirt on site, and to get a legal opinion on what the options are to remedy any deviations to the earthwork plans regarding the mound drainage and buffer at the Wawa site.
So moved.
Who's the second?
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen? Oh, Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, board. So our next administrative matter is an administrative matter to initiate a text amendment to section 4.8.5 signage compliance standards. And this is to strengthen and improve the existing processes for addressing maintenance issues, abandoned signage, and signage that's lost its non-conforming status. Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
So you guys can discuss, or we just need an initiation. Once we have that initiation, we'll go back and we will write a text amendment. We don't really have details at the moment outside of kind of what we put in the packet, since we have not yet written the staff reports.
So would you like us just to read the proposed motion?
That would be my preference.
If I might, just one preface comment. As we continue to work through zoning certificates, this is a daily grind, right? We're experiencing these on a regular basis. These are issues that have come up, and we think this might be more efficient. This might be better for residents, might be better for businesses. So we're bringing to you the idea and suggesting to you, is this something that you think would be beneficial to the township if we were to bring back to you a staff report and propose language that would remedy this issue that we have seen on some basis that we think would be, it would improve the zoning resolution. So that's kind of like setting the table for you on all 5 of these that we have before you. And so that's, and then you have the detail that is written in all the staff reports for each of those.
So I would need a motion and a second on each. So we'll start with the text amendment to 4.8.5 signage compliance standards.
All right, I'll move that Colerain Township Zoning Commission instruct the Planning and Zoning Department to prepare a staff report and propose text amendment to section 4.8.5 signage compliance standards with the purpose of strengthening and improving existing processes for addressing signage maintenance issues, abandoned signage, and signage that has lost its non-conforming status in alignment with the Colerain Township Comprehensive Plan.
Whew,
I'll second.
that was good.
Impressed.
You set yourself up for that, right?
You can do them all.
Kevin said, I'll take that one. No motion by committee there.
Yep.
Do we have a second?
Yes, I seconded. So now we're doing roll call.
Mr. Bachman? Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Okay, our next item is to initiate a text amendment to section 6.3.6 administrative waiver. This is to provide greater flexibility and fairness for residents applying for zoning certificates by allowing administrative approval of minor deviations from the zoning resolution. This was born out of a recent trend we saw where people were having to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals and pay a fee and take a 2-month process for something extremely minor, like a garage happening to go a little bit into their front yard, or somebody who wants their side fence about 75% up their wall rather than 50. These are minor things that are very burdensome to our residents. So as a courtesy to the residents, we would like to draft a system and bring to you to see if it's mutually agreeable that will prevent people from having to be stuck in this kind of administrative government red tape.
So is it just resident focused, or is it business focused, or everyone focused?
Our mindset in the beginning is very resident focused. I can't say there's not something in there that would technically potentially benefit a business, but this is not something that we are considering drafting to be business friendly specifically. This is something we are drafting to be residents friendly. Most of our cases recently in BZA were residences. We have a record number of cases right now in BZA. So we want to be able to hold the zoning resolution code to the letter when it's important, and not have a bunch of residents have a bunch of government red tape when it's not important. So we think we can do better than we currently have on that.
Okay,
I'll make the motion. I move that the Colerain Township Zoning Commission instruct the Planning and Zoning Department to prepare a staff report and proposed text amendment to section 6.3.6, administrative waiver, with the purpose of providing greater flexibility and fairness for residents applying for a zoning certificate by allowing administrative approval of minor deviations from the zoning resolution in alignment with the Colerain Township Comprehensive Plan.
I'll second. And roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is to initiate a text amendment to section 3.2.4B, swimming pools, to establish a uniform 10-foot setback for swimming pools in all yards. It was erroneously carried forward that a 25-foot rear setback be in place for swimming pools. We think that that is very restrictive, and we would like to draft a text amendment to change that to 10-foot.
Okay, I'll go next. I guess we're going down the line. I move that the Colerain Township Zoning Commission instruct the Planning and Zoning Department to prepare a staff report and propose text amendment to section 3.2.4B, swimming pools. And I lost some wording. With the purpose of establishing a uniform 10-foot setback for swimming pools in all yards in alignment with the Colerain Township Comprehensive Plan.
Second that?
Ms. Klein?
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Our next item on the agenda is an administrative matter to initiate a text amendment to the comprehensive use permissions table to ensure that permitted uses in each zoning district align with the comprehensive plan. The goals of this amendment are that it will ensure that zoning permissions are consistent with that comprehensive plan, improve alignment between allowed uses and long-term goals, and support appropriate development patterns for each zoning district.
Okay, I move that the Colerain Township Zoning Commission instruct the Planning and Zoning Department to prepare a staff report and propose text amendment to the comprehensive use permissions table with the purpose of ensuring that permitted uses in each zoning district align with the Colerain Township Comprehensive Plan.
I'll second.
Ms. Klein?
Mr. Bachman? Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Westfall? Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
And finally, we have an administrative matter to initiate a text amendment to remove short-term rental regulations from the zoning resolution and place them under the police department's rental registration program. Our current practice is that the police department regulates long-term rentals. We think it would be consistent to have the police department regulate short-term rentals as well.
Okay, I move that the Colerain Township Zoning Commission instruct the Planning and Zoning Department to prepare a staff report and propose text amendment to remove short-term rental provisions from the zoning resolution and place them under the police department's rental registration program in alignment with the Colerain Township Comprehensive Plan.
Second?
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes. Okay, any announcements?
I have none.
Okay, next meeting date is September 16th, 2025. Just to thank my fellow commissioners, staff, and everyone who was present tonight. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.